Yo, we got Jimmy High Roller. We got a basketball video today. Oh my gosh. Luka Doncic is the worst defender in NBA history. That's crazy. But I'm going to be honest, I haven't been watching much Lakers games because ever since LeBron came back, like them first few games where he was only dropping like 10 points and we were still losing the game, I just stopped watching. I'm not going to lie to you. But Luka was holding it down for the longest, bruh. While LeBron was injured. Then LeBron came back, messed our whole flow up, bruh. I was a little upset because my Lakers was doing good. But, hey, bro, they're still my team.
Question.
I still support them.
What
bro.
do Trae Young, Jalen Brunson, Jordan Poole, Zach LaVine, and Jordan Clarkson have in common? They're all guards. They're all good offensive players that can get you a bucket. They're all NBA vets. But there's one other thing that they all share. These 5 players are statistically the worst defenders in the entire NBA, at least according to Crafted Defensive Plus Minus.
What about Curry, though? I'm not going to say he's the worst defender, but, like, does he defend like that, though? Like, I haven't seen Curry, like, defend for real.
Now, I usually wouldn't go seeking out information like this, but I felt inclined to after the recent onslaught of criticism Luka Doncic has received for his defense. From what is said and what I've seen, I thought Luka would be near, if not at the very bottom of the worst defenders in the league. But no, he's not down there. According to this one metric, which isn't perfect.
Steph Curry, man. Dang, Jamal Murray too. James Harden. James Harden's a bad defender.
Perfect, but is one of the more elaborate and extensive defensive metrics you can find. Luka Doncic is not the worst defender in the league. Among qualifying players, that title belongs to Jalen Brunson or Trae Young. But if he's not down there, he's got to be.
Nah, how's Zion a bad? Zion's that, like, Zion got some size on him. And
nearby.
He's a bad
There's
defender.
Booker, Zion, Banchero, Ant, LeBron. I'm seeing some pretty capable names here and still no Luka. There's Maxey, Morant, D'Angelo Russell, higher than I would ever expect in my wildest dreams. We are now well clear of the defensive liabilities and still no Luka in sight. And that's because out of the 375 players who meet minimum requirements this season, Luka Doncic ranks 169th on defense, which is in fact extremely average. He's not terrible, he's not a liability, and he isn't nearly the worst defender of all time.
Dang, Brad. Let's go ahead.
Today on Gear, it just is it an decibel for a
W skip.
Is it possible for a player to be so good on offense that they could be as bad as they want on defense and it doesn't even matter? Scoring and playmaking and controlling the pace of a game on offense in the NBA are invaluable qualities. It's the one trait every great player, almost without exception, has in common. But what about the other side of the ball? Defense wins championships. This has been proven time and time again. But can a one-way superstar tilt the scale so much that he doesn't need to be a two-way player to win? In the wake of the Lakers' recent slump, many fans point towards Luka Doncic and his terrible defense as a major factor for the team's struggles. The effort...
Low-key, all we need on the Lakers is good defense, bro. If we had good defense... If we had OKC defense, bro... OKC defense with a healthy Luka, healthy LeBron, bro. Too bad that's not happening.
Being so non-existent at times that some fans have even called him the worst defender in the league's history, and that a team with a player so one-sided will never find any meaningful success. Luka's defenders, on the other hand, know that he's never been a two-way player. He's an offensive maestro. What he lacks on defense, he makes up for and more with his offense. Or at least that's been the theory on Luka's game and his value throughout his entire career. But is this actually the case? Well, I think it's worth asking, is Luka actually bad on defense? The eye test would certainly say so, but sometimes our eyes can deceive us. Defensive estimated plus-minus has Luka in the 31st percentile league-wide in terms of defensive impact, well within the realm of defensive liability. When it comes to points allowed per 100, Luka is in the 44th percentile. His crafted defensive plus-minus is actually above average, in the 63rd percentile league-wide, and according to ESPN Analytics, Luka is in the 51st percentile defensively. Turns out that, according to most metrics, Luka isn't a bad defender. He's actually average. But defense is notoriously tough to accurately measure. The vast disparity in rankings and results across these different metrics proves that we still haven't figured out how to quantify defense all that well. When one metric says you're worse than most and another says you're well above average, it's tough to tell which one is accurate. But it does give us a decent snapshot of Luka's defensive impact, which is average. If we chart the top 100 players in the league this season according to their average ranking in league percentile among these catch-all offensive and defensive metrics, then we could get a good idea of who is great on offense, who is great on defense, and who is great on both ends. Up here are the defensive liability offensive juggernauts: Jalen Brunson, James Harden, Michael Porter Jr., Trae Young, Jamal Murray. Over here are players who provide most of their value through defense without much offense: Gobert, Asar Thompson, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Stewart. And all the way up here are the best two-way players in the league: Giannis, Wemby, Chet, Derek White, Jalen Suggs, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who ranks in the 99th percentile on offense and the 91st percentile on defense. Arguably the best two-way player in the entire league. So where is Luka in all of this? Right here, in the 98th percentile on offense and the 56th percentile on defense, which even when stacked up against the top 100 players in the league is still far from the worst. In fact, compared to other offensive superstars, Luka is actually a net positive on defense. Steph Curry ranks in the 97th percentile on offense, but only the 25th percentile on defense. Donovan Mitchell, 99th on offense, 36th on defense. Austin Reeves, Luka's own teammate, 97th on offense and 27th on defense. Who could this be all the way over here as one of the best offensive players in the league, but statistically a cone on defense? Oh, it's Anthony Edwards. What about this player? Great on offense, a negative on defense. Oh look, it's—
I don't even watch any other games like that. I'm not gonna lie, I be using Flight as my resource for NBA games now, bro. I haven't watched an NBA game by myself in a while. So whenever Flight posts like reaction to highlights and all that, I just watch that because that's the only way I can keep up with NBA anymore.
Jaylen Brown. Despite the reputation he's built for himself and defensive efforts that are at times completely inexcusable, by all accounts, Luka Doncic is not a bad defender. He's painfully average. This, however, has not stopped teams from hunting Luka just about every chance they get. So far this season, Luka ranks 7th.
He didn't even try to put his hand up.
Hunting Luka just about every chance they get.
Bro watched him go up.
So far this season, Luka ranks 7th in the league in defended field goal attempts. The next closest guard is Derek White, all the way at 22nd. As if staying tough and active on defense wasn't already difficult enough, Luka is defending twice as many shots every game as the average guard. Now, compared to the big men at the top of this list, Luka is relatively ineffective on defense. On average, his opponents are shooting 3.1% better from the field when he's guarding them. But compare Luka to other elite players that aren't tasked with anchoring a defense, and you'll find that he's a lot more effective on the ball than we're led to believe. More effective than players like Nikola Jokic, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, LaMelo Ball, Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, and 117 other players, to be exact. So far this season, when Luka is on the court, the Lakers give up 118.7 points per 100 possessions. When he's off the court, they give up 118 points per 100 possessions. A difference that is negligible. Compare Luka's neutral impact on defense to the top 15 offensive generators in the league, the players who generate the most points per game through scoring and assists, and Luka is, you guessed it, average. As expected, the best offensive players in the league are usually not all that great on defense. The larger a player's offensive burden is, the less they're asked to do or even have the energy for on defense. According to Cleaning the Glass, among the 15 most impactful offensive players in the league, only 6 of them have teams that perform better on defense when they're on the court versus when they're not. with Luka right in the middle at 7th, and some of these teams completely struggling on defense when their star is on the court. The Timberwolves and Clippers are nearly 10 points worse on defense per 100 possessions with Ant and Harden on the floor. Jalen Brunson is literally the worst defender in the league, with the Knicks nearly 13 points worse on defense when he's on the floor. In a world where there are numerous players around the league that do far less on offense while also doing less on defense, Luka is one of a few players that gets heavily scrutinized for it. So how does a player who by every conceivable measure is merely average on defense gain this reputation of being not just a—
Yo, I need LaMelo Ball on the Lakers, bro. Can we trade for LaMelo, bro? Let's be honest, bro. LaMelo is not winning a championship in Charlotte, bro. Like, we need Giannis too, bro. Get DeAndre Ayton out of here, bro. Let's get Giannis, bro. I know that's probably not happening unless we like trade LeBron or Luka, bro. Which I'm not mad at a LeBron trade. If we trade LeBron and Ayton for Giannis, it's not a bad trade for the Lakers though. But LaMelo, we probably had to get rid of like Austin Reeves and like freaking Jackson Hayes or something. But I don't want to get rid of Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes been doing better.
bad defender, but one of the worst defenders of all time.
It's okay, Luka, to move your feet a little bit over and help out. Well, what does he do? He just throws feet a little bit over.
What is he getting mad at?
And help out. Well, what does he do? He just throws up his hand.
Anybody in the NBA is looking up the floor and throwing ahead. Colin Gillespie.
But JJ Redick, coach of the Lakers, said hoping to have him back this week.
Luka, that little weak jump, bro.
Colin Gillespie.
But JJ Redick,
He must have had to
coach of the
be
Lakers,
injured or something, bro. What was that? What was this jump, bro?
hoping to have him back this week.
Hey, you're supposed to try and block it.
They're going to go baseline. Doncic. Never been a big point guy. Two teams met back.
That was Luka too.
Never been a big point
Luka,
guy.
Luka. Come on, bro.
They're going to go baseline. Doncic.
No way you just.
Never
No
been a
way you
big
got
point
faked out
guy.
by a Jazz player, bro. What are we doing?
Back on December 1st. Allen with an opening. Brings it down to Sensible. First, Allen with an opening.
Just watching him, bro.
Brings it
Didn't
down to
step up or
Sensible. Off the
nothing.
wing
Didn't
three.
even try to block him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm understanding now.
This little chat.
Oh my goodness.
Are you complaining? No way
This
you're
guy
complaining, right?
is a whiner.
It's tough to make the case that a player isn't a bad defender when stuff
Luka,
like this
bro. Come
happens
on,
on a
dude.
regular basis. Luka getting blown by, feet look like they're stuck in mud, complaining about no calls every other possession and forcing his team to play 4-on-5 on the other end, gambling in passing lanes, missing assignments, but more than anything, straight up refusing to even make an effort on some possessions. One of the big reasons why I think Luka's lackluster defense has become the primary topic of conversation is because visually he looks completely uninterested.
Bro, he's acting like that one James Harden clip of him just like not grabbing the ball.
In even playing defense at times. He has the tools to be a good defender. Great size for his position, he's strong, quick hands, great IQ and court awareness, and yet he puts in just enough effort to be, at best, average. One of the more random but insightful metrics the NBA keeps track of is the average speed a player moves at throughout a game both on offense and defense. And among the 324 players who average at least 15 minutes a game this season, take a wild guess at who falls at the bottom of the league when it comes to speed on defense. If you said James Harden, well then kudos to you, that's a fantastic guess and you're right. But right above him, as the second slowest player in the entire league on defense, is Luka Doncic.
I'm not even surprised, bro. James Harden at the bottom. From that one clip of him just like of him running after the ball and then just not running again, that's like the top, bro.
Behind a 41-year-old LeBron and a lumbering Joel Embiid with one good knee. Getting scored on or giving up an easy bucket is one thing. Refusing to even put in the effort to stop a bucket is another. The outrage for Luka's defense is not all about the results. No reasonable fan should expect Luka to be a lockdown defender. That's not his role. The outrage is in the fact that he doesn't even try. And if only he did, he could be a good contributing defender. Catch Luka at the right time, and he looks like a versatile big body who can guard 1 through 4 with some of the best post defense you've ever seen. Catch him the other 70% of the time, and you'd think the guy has lead in his shoes. Per 36 has a metric called the Hustle Index that accounts for things like the number of box outs, charges drawn, contested shots, deflections, and other factors to measure a player's hustle throughout a game. Luka Doncic ranks 187th out of the 250 qualifying players. But Luka's lack of effort on defense may be just as overstated as his effectiveness on defense, because ranked right below him on the Hustle Index is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Zubats, and Giannis, and Cam Johnson, Lou Dort, Stephon Castle, and other players who clearly put in effort on the defensive end of the court. For every clip you see of Luka being a cone on defense, there's about 10 possessions they won't show you of him playing sound, high-energy, disciplined defense. As much as we'd like to see the stars of our league not only have the ability, but also the drive to be elite on both ends of the floor, the reality is Luka's defensive mediocrity has more to do with his role on the court than it does his actual ability or willingness to be elite on that side of the floor. In a perfect world, a team star player would be great on both ends. But in today's NBA, building around and relying on a one-way superstar may be less of a choice and more of a necessity. If we consider a two-way star as a player who is in the 90th percentile of the league on both offense and defense, then there aren't 20 two-way stars in the league. There aren't 10 of them. There isn't even 5. There's 2. 2 players in the entire league that are true two-way stars. But what if we widen our scope of elite two-way players to at least the 80th percentile league-wide on both ends of the floor? Well, then there's still only 9 players who meet those requirements. 450 players in the NBA, 9 of them who you could consider to be great on both offense and defense. Demanding that an offensive mastermind also be more than just okay on defense shouldn't be too much to ask, but the best players in the NBA almost exclusively create their value through offense, not defense. And whether it's a lack of physical tools, effort, or by design, players who can give you both are extremely rare. Is Luka truly the worst defender of all time? No. Is he the worst defender in the league? Not even close. When he puts in the effort, he's actually a good defender, and when he doesn't, he's terrible. And contrary to the scathing narrative that is built around him, Luka's defense is somewhere in between these two extremes. Not great, not bad, but merely average. And just like every other defensively mediocre star in the NBA who doesn't receive nearly the amount of criticism he does, as long as he remains just okay on defense, what he brings on the offensive end almost always makes up for what he lacks defensively. But you don't have to take my word for it. Here are the top 100 players in the league, charted according to the number of points they generate on offense minus the points they give up on defense. So, for example, if a player creates 30 points a game through scoring and assists, but they give up 15 points on the defensive end, they would be a plus 15 on this chart. Unlike most net ratings, this gives us a look at a player's total impact based on individual performance and matchups, as opposed to the impact they had on their team's performance. And among these players, you'll find some great defenders: Chet Holmgren, Jalen Duren, Bam Adebayo, Derek White. But because of the inherent value of great offense, the closer you get to the top of this list, the more you'll begin to see the offensive-heavy players. Peyton Pritchard, MPJ, Banchero. They give up more than you'd like on defense, but their offense still makes them a large net positive in the end. Despite giving up 16 points a game on defense, Austin Reeves generates nearly 43 points a game, making him a plus 26.7. James Harden generates over 45 points a game and only gives up about 13.5 on defense. But all the way at the top are the players who create the largest surplus of points in the entire league. Nikola Jokic, who gives up the most points per game in the entire league, but is also the greatest offensive engine of all time. Cade Cunningham, who generates nearly 50 points a night while only giving up about 15. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has a sizable gap on everyone as the MVP frontrunner and one of the best two-way players in the league. Where does the liability himself, Luka Doncic, stack up in all of this? He's right here, creating so much offense that you'll take his average defense every single time.
Dang, bruh. That's a good video, bruh. I still don't think Luka is the worst, but he could definitely do better, bruh. If Luka had good defense, like actually play defense, bro, we'd be a solid team.